I am excited to announce my new podcast, Giving Legends. It's an opportunity for me, Hannibal Navies, and my co-host Charlie Batch to talk with people of influence who are committed to building a legacy through service. Stay tuned and learn what makes them giving legends.
What's going on? I'm Charlie Batch, joined by my co-host, Mr. Hannibal Navies.
What's going on, Charlie Batch?
Not much. And we are here for another episode of the Giving Legends podcast. And this episode is brought to you by Zoa Energy, which is powered by great taste, electrolytes, B and C vitamins, zero sugar and caffeine from green tea and green coffee. It's all available to you on Amazon or at a store near you like 7-Eleven, Costco, and more. For more info, go to zoaenergy.com. That's ZOA energy.com. So we are here on Media Row, and we are joined by this wonderful lady. She is CEO, she is master mom, she is like all of it. She does it all. So before we get into it, let me introduce CEO of United Charitable, Miss Julia Healey. How are you?
Good. Thank you guys so much for having me
Power
on.
woman in sports.
Yeah.
So
as you come to your first Media Row, I'm assuming first Media Row, right?
Yep.
How was the experience for you? Is it everything you expected? You just didn't know what to expect, and you just came in here with a open, kind of clear mind and see what you didn't know what to expect?
I didn't know what to expect, but I love all the entrepreneurship. I just love everybody that's like hustling, the energy is it's really intense and it's awesome. It's really exciting to see all these people here.
So the Super Bowl vibe in general being here. This is your second time I think we've done Super Bowl together, right?
Yeah.
How do you compare this to your experience last year?
This Vegas is a little bit different, right? So it's just been really cool to see the Strip and having all the people show up and the fan base, and that's really exciting.
So I think we have a lot to talk about today. We'll dig into it, but it's finally glad to get you on the show. It's not only is it good to have you show, we have a lot to talk about, but you're the catalyst for all this, right? Like you are the CEO of United Charitable, Athletes Charitable is a division of that, which is our sponsor of this podcast in general, right? You have your own podcast, Inspired Changemakers, so this is your baby as well. So, I'm excited to have you on.
Thanks.
I think, we just came from a great event. I love that you talk about the event that you just came from, where you got to speak, and that's why I called you a power woman in sports, which is amazing. You got out there and did a great job speaking today, but tell me a little bit about the event that you were speaking at today.
So it's really celebrating women's influence in sports and really how to rise and just all the amazing women that have done, lawyers, attorneys, everything. It's just really amazing to see just women getting together and supporting each other and trying to elevate each other.
And when you talk about United Charitable, and a lot of people really getting into a space of maybe potentially thinking about running a foundation, maybe want to support some of those things, talk about what you do with United Charitable to inform the audience as they're looking to possibly do some charitable work.
Yeah, so United Charitable is not a single mission charity. We support other people's dreams in philanthropy. So we run what we call donor advised funds and fiscally sponsored programs. And basically we administer these charitable accounts so people can do what they do best, and that's advocate for causes and find causes that they care about. So really it's such an inspiring place for me to be because I get to follow the passions of we have 655 clients that are fighting to make this world a better place in so many different avenues. And it's a great way to wake up every day and to be able to support their passion and keep them compliant and legal and do all the stuff that I think is fun and sexy, which is accounting.
No, and I get it. But what led you to this, right? There's been so many things I'm sure you had your hands into, and then all of a sudden here you are from a foundation literally standpoint. And you're your feet on the ground, and now your passion is driving you to do a lot of the things that you're doing. How did that start?
So interestingly enough, I started out as a staff accountant for a nonprofit because I didn't think it was a real job, Charlie. I didn't think nonprofit was real work in my early 20s, right? And so basically, when I started to really support and understand that philanthropy is such a business, and it needs to be built as a sustainable business, it just really took me into it just so much. And when I became CEO in 2019, I knew I needed to make United Charitable different than all of our other competitors. And that's what really led me into the athlete space, being so much inspired by sports and all of the stuff that happened with that. That's really what led me to United Charitable or Athletes Charitable and Hannibal, and the podcast is just really highlighting people's passion. I think especially in today's world, we hear about all the negativity, right? All the time and all the problems. And just being able to really highlight all the good that people are doing and how hard people are fighting, I think is incredibly important.
Tell us and the viewers why Athletes Charitable. Why? Because you have hundreds of programs. You have hundreds of people. You've been dealing in this space for a very
200
long
million,
time,
yep.
right? And people are doing great things. Why dedicate time, effort, money, resources to saying we want to make athletes and take them into the space of giving?
So I was not into philanthropy from my parents' philanthropy. My mom's a teacher. My dad volunteered with math counts and all this stuff, and it wasn't really my philanthropy. But I'm a diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan, and I would go into that stadium and I would hear what my favorite players were doing, right? Brian Dawkins, Bobby Taylor, right? Troy Vincent, like my players, Donovan McNabb. And I would see how they give back to their community. And I was like, wait, that's happening? That's happening in my backyard? Wait, how can I be a part of that? And I just really, through sports and seeing a community of people, and everybody looks so different. We're all different age ranges, races, like everything. And it just brought everybody together. And I just knew that if we could make philanthropy accessible to professional athletes, we'd see change quicker, right? Because if they can really use their influence and their fan base, like we all care, like we're diehard, right? Like, do you know what I mean? Like we're diehard. So it was just really just the next vision of how I wanted to give back and how I just wanted everybody to be able to live in their passion, you know? Like Charlie, going to your center, seeing your center, I mean, just how well thought out it was, how much you care about the kids, how many families you're supporting. You get to live in that passion every single day. And that's just what I want for everybody, you know?
So I have some good things to
Thank
ask
you
you.
for that, Julia. Thank you.
Some good things and you do great things, Charlie. You know, obviously he's our athlete ambassador. He does amazing work. He's actually, the gold star of what we want our athletes to be, and I think that's why you brought that up. So tell us how, from your expertise, right? And you teach and you do a lot of different things, and I know you've built some educational and some webinars on how to continue to make your programs sustainable in philanthropy. But give our listeners and our people, because obviously it's Giving Legends, we also want to give people the opportunity to understand how they can be great in what they want to do, or how do they start. What are some key things that impact sustainability in nonprofits?
Showing up and asking for money. Like those are the two things that I think social entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that are going to change the world need to understand, that it's people give money not to causes, people give money to people. So therefore, for example, Charlie needs to shows up and asks and actually says, hey, listen, can I have that $50 subscription a month, because this is what I'm going to do with it. So I think the biggest thing is having the clearest message you can possibly have, right? Simple. I don't want to hear about 17 million different things that you're going to do or what it's going to look like. Having a very clear message about what your goal is, literally 2 sentences, and then asking for the money and not being afraid to be rejected. And I think that's where it breaks my heart for social entrepreneurs, because, raising money, the statistics are, right? Something around like you get 15% of the dollars you ask for. So that means you're going to get rejected 8.5 times. So you have to be able to go up to 10 people and be fully acceptable that 8 of them, 8.5, are not going to be able to follow your passion or understand what you're doing or care about your cause. It's the other people that you have to connect to.
And you have to quickly realize as you're talking to that person, is that a hard no or is it a soft no? And you learn that after you get out of your feelings, right? Early on, you're in your feeling because it's personal. But you learn that and you just like, okay, maybe I'm not ready at the point where they're ready to give the money. But with that, it comes networking, right? So you still have to get out there and do that. For your listeners, and that's a huge component of the philanthropy space, what advice would you give to somebody to kind of be introduced to the networking world and how to go about doing it the right way?
That's so awesome, because most of the people have no idea where they should show up to. Their community, right? So you have your local chambers that you can get involved with. You have your networking groups that, when I say networking groups, like for example, I'm an accountant and I'm part of an accounting networking group. Like there are so many different places that you can start to show up to just test. And I think that's what kind of gets missed too, is that it's all a learning experience. So you test what messaging works best for you. You test what messaging works best for the audience that you're in front of. right? Or what aspect of your program that you're going to highlight. As soon as, Charlie, you were talking to me and you brought up what you're doing for girls with the STEM program. I mean, I'm a woman CEO, right? Like that, I have 2 young daughters with me. That was it, right? Like that was the understanding like what your audience is and that emotional intelligence around talking to people. But just start because again, it's a learning experience. You're not going to get it the first, you just have to show up.
So tell me the benefits for our listeners of a fiscally sponsored program. Like, what is that? Not as technical, but obviously you can give to that technical, but why is that such I guess, an innovative thing now, right? It's been around longer than people know it's been around, but to me it's innovative if you use it correctly. So tell me a little bit about that and how do you think that helps athletes?
So fiscal sponsorship is when instead of getting your own 501c3, you become a project of an existing charity, right? So you become a project of United Charitable. We already are registered in every state to solicit funds. We already file a 990. We already have general liability insurance. We have an accounting system. We have everything that you need in order to start raising tax deductible funds. And it's a benefit because usually it costs about $35,000 to start your own 501c3. Also, too, then it takes about 6 to 12 months to get your IRS determination letter. And some of the times, you're not going to know if your idea is going to actually work. So it's great to beta with a fiscal sponsorship to see if you can actually get public support. A lot of nonprofits don't make it. And so fiscal sponsorship is a huge benefit because you can test out your messaging. You literally, we call it charity in a box. You want to, okay, great, here. You get your logo, your website, your ability to raise funds. You get a course of like what to do next. And it's really a great entryway into philanthropy.
Love it, love it, love it. Where do you see United Charitable 5 years from now? Where do we want to be?
So I think the biggest benefit to United Charitable is our ability to serve. Since we are not a single focus, we get to kind of go where it can take us. Like, for example, corporate charitable, all the other, like serving our corporate clients clients that are really wanting to get into the corporate social responsibility game. We have technology now that's out there for fundraising that are going to need a fiscal sponsor. So in the next 5 years, I'd love to obviously build up the athlete division and really serve, but just again, creating impact and inspiring others.
And I think a lot of that, I mean, you hear it and it warms my heart because obviously I've been doing it over 20 years. For you, it's one thing to do United Charitable, but is there something that you really have a passion for outside individually for you that you focus on personally between yourself and your family that you support?
So so I support a lot of my kids' nonprofits. So you follow them around. But I definitely think women causes. Right now I see the biggest problem is that we have a lot of teenagers that are not going on to college or trade school and really filling the gap about what is it like. I teach at Lord Fairfax Community College. I'm an accounting teacher at night, and just really kind of helping what I call kind of the in-between kids that don't have that 4-year track, but really getting them into some, a trade or some kind of career path. I think is really important because there's a lot of money being raised for young kids, but that 18 to 22-year-old, they need just as much guidance. And what are we really, especially girls, what are we doing to get them on the right track?
Is it too early, or do you have a success story of someone who went through your class and then ultimately started working in the philanthropy world and was like, wow, this is maybe what I want to do the rest of my life?
So I teach accounting, so I don't teach nonprofit accounting, but I teach for-profit accounting. But what's really funny about this is that accounting is like the class that everybody just has to take. Nobody wants to, and nobody especially my students, they make me laugh out loud all the time because they're like, people don't use accounting in business. It's 18. Every business has an accountant. It's actually the one commonality between all businesses and across the globe. Accounting, how we do our financial statements, is how it works across the globe. It is the one science that we all do consistently. You don't have to convert into metrics or any of that. It's the one science. And so it's so funny because everyone's like, yeah, accounting. I was like, if you're in marketing, you need to know how is your marketing plan going to have a return on investment, right? If you're in finance, you need to understand how much money is on your asset, like how much are you levering. If you're in literally, how often do you use accounting in your nonprofit, right? You look at those books monthly. So that's my passion, is that I really do think, and that's why I love United Charitable, because I get to do the accounting and legal and compliance, and that's like so much better than actually the advocacy work.
So fiscal sponsors and donor advised funds have been around for a while.
Yeah.
I don't think they're all created equal, right? As far as who administers them, what makes United Charitable different?
Yeah. We encourage philanthropy. So we encourage our clients to give, and so we give them all the opportunity, especially with the donor advised fund side. We want to make sure that our clients are passionate about giving, because it adds to repeat giving. It adds to people being able to feel philanthropy and not just a checkbook and a tax deduction, right? What does it feel like? So we create websites, we do donor stories. We have clients come to us and they say, I want to support this specific, like, I don't think fathers have rights in the state of California. It's so pro-mom. How do father have more rights in the state of California in this county? What can I give to? And to be able to find those organizations and to be able to help them live their passion and find these places that are going to like make them whole. And I think that's what makes us really different, is we truly care about philanthropy.
Why do you think it is that all the people that want to get a nonprofit, that do nonprofits and start their own 501c3s, why do you think there's so much ignorance around being a fiscal sponsor program, that this resource is even out there? Because like for myself, I've been doing philanthropy for a couple decades before I understood it was there. Why do you think it's not known in the general community?
Yeah, right. And this is what we fight all the time, because who do you go to for an expert on philanthropy? If you go to a 501c3, they're going to say, give to my organization. If you go to your church, they're going to say, hey, you should probably donate here, right? So who do you go to? Your financial advisor, your tax accountant? Like, who's really the expert on philanthropy that you go to? And to disseminate the information, right? And I think that what has also happened is people have started to shy away from talking about their philanthropy for like fear of judgment, right? Is it not good enough? Am I not giving to the right places, right? So I think it's just a lack of awareness of where to go to start your charitable journey. Like do you know what I mean? There's no educational course, like, yeah.
It's very true, very true.
For individuals.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and a lot of that, I mean, people just don't know. They don't know what they don't know. And people are afraid to ask the questions, assuming that they may look like a fool. And that's the challenging part.
Charlie, you have no idea how many clients come to me and say, yeah, I don't really think I'm a philanthropist. I only can give away $1,000 a month.
In small nonprofits, they can use that.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or even, hey, listen, I'm just building my philanthropy muscle. Okay, well, what does that look like? Okay, why don't you try $100 a month? See what it feels like. See if you like where you're giving. Because again, your gut will tell you if you're satisfied with where you're giving. You know what I mean? And it's just like every other decision you make. And so I have clients that have given 6 figures to organizations, but when they talk to me, they'll talk about the scholarship program to their local high school where they gave $5,000, and that was more of a meaningful gift than the 6-figure check that they wrote. And they've shifted their philanthropy. So that's really just powerful to me.
Have you seen you've been in philanthropy a very long time, and you've been working in it from like I said, the business side. I hate when people don't think nonprofit is a business. It's weird to me that they don't. But from the business side of it, have you seen any trends? Have you seen anything changes, or what has changed, and what do you think is coming?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So always trends to philanthropy, just like everything else. And so what I see coming is, and this will be interesting because the next generation of philanthropists, right, are looking for more, not so much I'm going to write a big check, give a big check, and that's it. They're looking to feel connected. And how are charities going to keep up with that? If charities are not working with technology, then it's going to be hard for them, right? If charities aren't really trying to figure out their social media, all grants now, like, this is crazy to me. Grants now that we're receiving, they're looking at our project's social media accounts to see their social proof. And it's actually a thing now, social proof for grants, where people are looking at your Instagram accounts, how many of your clients are liking it, what does the impact look like, how are you engaging with your donors, and I think that's what people are going to look for coming up, is that connection, and it's going to be really hard for some charities to keep up.
Technology and philanthropy, that's the next thing that's coming. Tell us a little bit about Inspired Changemakers. I know that's something you jumped into that's new.
Yeah.
Tell us about your podcast.
So I love the fact that there's people that are fighting to make a difference. And And so I really I felt kind of guilty, I guess is the word, that I'm the one that gets to listen to all these stories, right? I listened to these stories like for the last 19 years, right? About people that are making the world a better place. And I was like, how about if we started like sharing that? And so we've had executive directors, we've had coaches, people that have given their careers to help other people change. I think we're in a society now where change can be scary and nobody wants to, right? Like, and so how can we really give ourselves to help other people reach their goals? So it's all the way around that I've just had such a joy of meeting people and talking to them and hearing about their philanthropy journey. No one journey is the same. But what's really similar among everybody is the feeling that they get when they give or when they accomplish that, and that smile or that light in their eyes when they've feel like they've made an impact and they get to describe it to me. It's amazing. It's just so positive.
Absolutely, and that's awesome. And thank you for continuing to be that change maker and creating a platform, not for yourself individually, but for us to allow people the opportunity to talk about what they're passionate about. And that's the beauty of why we do the podcast, why we're creating the platforms to allow people to talk about things that matter to them the most.
Right, and what works for them and what doesn't, what's their fails. Like that's the best part is when people open up about where they failed in the past in their philanthropy journey, or when they got rejected, or what didn't work. Or I had an executive director come on and said, we ran a whole program. It didn't have any of the impact we thought it would, like zero of it. And we had to shift gears, and what did that look like, and how did we communicate that to donors? What was the transparency about this program that that didn't have as much impact as we liked? And that's just when people can be honest about that, it helps everyone grow.
And I think as we sit back and kind of wrap everything together, you gave us a lot of nuggets to absorb and think about moving forward. One time, as listeners, if they're interested, where can they go to find more information about what you're doing as the CEO and individually for yourself as well for Inspired Changemakers?
Perfect. So unitedcharitable.org is what we're doing for United Charitable. And then me on LinkedIn is kind of Julia Healey on LinkedIn is the best place to see all the things that I'm doing to make this, to create change.
Finally got you on the show. We made it happen. Especially after what better way for you to come on our show after being, held up as one of the power women in sports and philanthropy, which is huge. Very proud of you. Very proud of you. You're trailblazing this space. Very proud of you taking chances. Very proud of you being innovative in what you're doing. So just kudos to you, and hopefully we can continue to make this journey continue to go up and help more people and do more stuff, because the more we help people, that's what we do, right? Is helping other people fulfill their philanthropy dreams. So I wake up passionate about it every day. I wake up happy to have somebody alongside me that's pushing me with that same passion. So I wouldn't have come on board if it wasn't with somebody with that kind of passion. So I'm just glad that you're my CEO, and glad that that you have the same passion and vision I do in helping people change the world and make it better and give back, right? And this is our life. This is not something we just do part-time. Right. This is not something that we just do because it's our job. It's something that's embedded in us, which makes us giving legends, which is why we're here. So.
And I'll say this, Hannibal, the fact that you bet on me and my dream, and I was like, listen, we're going to talk about fiscal sponsorship, but just what put us in each other's paths, that really, which you knew what I was trying to create, and being able to build this with you for the last couple of years has been amazing to see, and just love this. Yeah, love your guys' podcast too. It's awesome.
Thanks for being on, Julia.
Thank you.
That's the mic drop right there. CEO Julia Healey, as she represents on Giving Legends podcast. So thank you for joining us for another edition of Legend Podcast. Check out the next episode. See you soon.
Find us on YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and comment on what inspires you to be a giving legend in your community.